And so Hasnain ji, he is a Delhi-based Sufi spiritual coach. He is the founder of New Age Sufis, which is out there to spread the universal Sufis values of truth and love. New Age Sufis believe in universal brotherhood and see humanity as one. They listen to their heart and focus on keeping it clean from ego and conditioning. And we today also, like, we will be learning about ego and what ego is called in Sufism. And he's also a behavioral coach. He's certified in different healing modalities, including EFT and NLP and L&D. He's also a L&D professional. And we are so grateful to have you today with us, Hasnanji. And now over to you. I will not take much time.
Thank you, Shalu, for this introduction and giving me this opportunity to talk about this touchy topic. And before I start the session, I would like to express my gratitude to Almighty for giving me this opportunity, to all the saints, to all the holy figures, to all the prophets, to all the wisdom that has come to us over these thousands and thousands of years of research, internalization, introspection, and whatnot has gone into it. So what I'll be sharing with you is not mine. It is something that has been, accumulated over millennia, you can say. And let's hope that we all can benefit from the knowledge and the wisdom it can transpire. So let me start with sharing my screen. So shall you just give me a heads up if you can see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So I hope you can see it in a good size, or should I? Yeah, is this better?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Would you people want to see me while talking, or is it okay?
I think we are okay with both ways. Like we can listen to you and take everything in. So
Okay. Because I cannot see you people, so I'll be disconnected anyway. Okay. So we'll be off and on. Let's.
Yeah.
So friends, New Age Sufis is you can say my brainchild, and I took quite a while. I mean, it took me almost a decade to come to this point where I can in a way claim that I am a trainer or a coach of some sort, because in among Sufi is the end product of a journey. So to the best of my understanding, I think more befitting word for us will be that we can call ourselves dervishes, who hit and try, who are learning from their mistakes, who are on the path, and work in progress, if that sounds better. So, but for the sake of terminology, I had to give it a simplified name, and therefore this New Age Sufis was born. Why I'm calling it Sufism? Because that is the closest, the modality that I use, the tools, the techniques, the examples of Rumi, Kabir, Baba Bulle Shah. I think I could not call it anything else but a Sufi modality only. So it's a strange mix of storytelling, presentation, some scientific proofs that I try to back it up with, and yes, music is part of it. So I try to bring everything together and try to create an experience from where there are demonstrations, there are role plays, but we have our own limitations over here, and there is limitation of time also as far as our session is concerned. So I'll be mindful of everything, but yes, it will be my effort to enlighten you about this enemy within, and I would like to make it as engaging as possible, and let's see what best can come out of the collective wisdom that we have in the room. Okay, so friends, this is our all-purpose session today. Ego, uh, among Sufi literature, you'll find a word called nafs. Now, nafs can be loosely translated as ego for the lack of vocabulary, you can say, but it is much more comprehensive thing, as we will find as we move forward. And if you go to my Facebook page or New Age Sufis Facebook page, you can see all that in all its glory. So there's a a graphic representation that I have done over there, explaining all these attributes and blemishes of nafs. So you need not write everything. Just listen to me and be with me, and that will be enough. Okay, so let us move. So before I come to the next slide, I would like to understand, what do you mean by ego? What is your understanding of ego? Anybody?
It's for me, basically ego. How I understand ego is it's all about the conditioning that we have, and about the concepts. That are somewhere we borrowed when when we are into this world, when we born, and eventually we learn few concepts and few definitions that have been we borrowed about right and wrong. So for me it is more about the conditioning that we have about about certain things, about everything in life actually. And yeah. Hmm.
Okay. You mean to say that ego is your conditioning? Good. Anybody else? Any other point of view? I'm noting down. Yeah.
All of you, if speak, you can also write down in the chat box. If you are not comfortable speaking right now, you can just write it down in the chat box.
Yeah, Bharti is saying our identity, our self.
Okay, for me, it is like sense of self-importance.
Okay, sense of self-importance.
Yeah, for me, I think it is about just thinking of our needs and desires on the basis of the physical world or physical body, and not going beyond what is visible, I guess.
Okay, you mean to say your material self?
Sorry?
It is our material self?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, Shivani?
For me, yes, Hasnain, thank you. So for me, it is where there is too much of I. It's like I, me, myself. What is important to me? At times, it could also be a hidden ego. I mean, there's one ego which can be seen, and there are egos that are hidden within us. And that reflects when I am very important in my expectations, and I should be happy.
Okay.
It's too much of I, me, and myself.
Okay. So you mean to say that this is nothing but our I consciousness?
Yes.
Okay. Fair.
So I also wanting to put one thing, that it is like aham. Aham in Sanskrit means aham, in Hindi means मैं. So aham और मैं, जहाँ मैं बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाए तो वहां पे ईगो, तो अहम, इस तरीके से मैं थोड़ा समझने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ।
जी जी, अहम का एक ट्रांसलेशन अहंकार भी होता है।
जी जी।
So it is actually what Shivani was trying to say. Like it is taking your eyes yourself too seriously, so that you feel that you are, you are more important than others around you, and it is, that self-importance that you give to yourself over others around you. Okay, fair enough, friends. Let's move. Any idea, like, when is this ego born?
The day we start to identify with things, that the way we start to label things as a child, when we are when we are born, and the day we start to label even everything in nature, everything including plants, and we start to give name to everything. I feel that that's how is ego born.
Okay. So, okay, let us start our presentation and then see what unfolds. Yeah, others can please mute for next 10 minutes. So, friends, how many of you have some knowledge of biology? Like when we are in our mother's womb, before we are born, what is our mode of breathing, eating? Anybody in the room? How are we fed? How do we breathe when we are in our mother's womb?
So, through placenta, through the fallopian tube.
Okay, so our mouth and our nose are not engaged, right?
Hello.
Are we on same page?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what happens the moment we are born, and we all, are born into this world with the shock of our life. The moment we are born and our umbilical cord is snapped, just imagine that you are introduced to a new mode of breathing, and if you don't breathe for next 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you are dead. Okay, and in couple of hours, if you don't figure out your mother's bosom, you may die or you may starve to death. So all those, like, survival instincts are, all of a sudden born along with us, or rather activated the moment we are born. And this is for the first time, perhaps, we get the feeling that we are a body and we have to fend for ourselves. And this is when, to my understanding, our nafs, our ego, our body consciousness, rather, it's not becoming identity consciousness as yet, till we are named and we start, getting layers and layers of conditioning. We are attached with so many labels and whatnot. But this is for the first time we sense, perhaps, that we may die, or we, get that, we get introduced to a fear that we are a body and we are vulnerable. So this feeling of fear, or this sense of vulnerability, that I might die, I'm a body, and I'm perishable, you can say, in whatever sense. This feeling, we are introduced to this feeling within next couple of minutes of our birth. And this I consciousness, or you can say the body consciousness, remains with us till we are alive. And this is the moment when our I consciousness is born, and it takes on layers upon layers as we grow. Are we on the same page, friends, till now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move. Now, this is what Deepak Chopra says about ego. Can somebody read this for me?
I would like to read.
Please.
Go ahead, Priya.
The ego is not who you really are. The ego is your self image. It is your social mask. It is the role you are playing. Your social mask thrive on approval. It wants control, and it is sustained by power because it lives in fear.
So, it is quite self-explanatory. Any thoughts on this, or we are okay with what Deepak Chopra is saying here?
It's clear.
Okay, it's clear. Sure, let's move. Now, this is what Sufis call, so Nafs is, let me, because here on I will be calling it Nafs more often than ego for all practical purposes. Nafs is a marinated thing, or a strange marinated mix of your conditionings, your habits, those which are attached to your sensual pleasures and cravings, rather, you can say. It is your primordial fear that has that was born the moment you were born. So our body actually remembers that. So if you see, suppose, let's take one example. People say that somebody is arrogant or somebody is envious, and this is mark of ego only. What makes you envious? What makes you hate somebody? Because you feel that somebody will hog your attention, or maybe prove that you are inferior to them with whatever. I mean, because they are better placed, because they are driving bigger car, or they are earning more money. But the moment you are exposed to that, and comparatively you feel challenged, or your ego feels challenged, you hate that person, right?
Yeah.
So what is at the base of this? At the base is that fear of getting compared and proven lower than somebody. So it is primarily an insecurity, some fear. Got it?
Yes.
So in the end, all this envy, hatred, and we'll see that laundry list in the coming slides, is born from fear only. So fear will be our catchword. Okay? Now let's see what Sufis talk about ego. They say your nafs, if you do not keep it busy with truth, it will keep you busy with falsehood. So this means that nafs or ego keeps you busy with falsehood. Or you can say it forces you to live a life of maya, illusion. So you are deprived from truth. How? We will see in the coming slides. So saints say that your nafs, or soul's desires, you can say, is your first battlefield. If you are victorious over it, then you will find other battlefields easier. Can somebody read this?
Yeah. The sage battles his own ego, the fool battles everyone else's.
So now you see, it is very evident that this, the enemy within us, is our first battlefield. And if we can win it, we can win all other battles. Then everything is sorted. Okay? Let's move. Can somebody read this? Somebody else?
So I'll read. Ego says, once everything falls into place, I will find peace. Spirit says, find peace and everything falls into place.
So, friends, this is the dichotomy that most of us live with. We think that we are actually chasing peace, but we are chasing some social benchmarks. And peace is always elusive. This is where the ego keeps us busy. It makes peace our last priority because it has its own material goals to achieve, the goals which people applaud, the goals that society approves and claps for are egos because it thrives on outside validation. It is not your essential nature. So it has to look around and see whether I'm doing well enough or not. Am I making sense, friends?
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
Okay. So this is great Rumi. He says the ego is a veil between humans and God. So you can call it super consciousness or anything. I mean, you can name God has got many names. So you can call it Allah, you can call it Brahm, you can call it Nirakar, Nirgun, or you can give it your name. End of the day, it is a phenomena, you can say. And you are free to give the name of your language, of your choice. But what Rumi is trying to say, your ego or your I consciousness is actually a veil between you and that higher consciousness. So it's a big problem as far as your spiritual capacity enhancement is concerned. So you must have seen this graphic. I was amused by this, so I thought, let me keep it. So whenever people talk about, addressing it and doing something about it, most of us don't have time. We are too busy. How many of you relate to this? Hello, can you see?
I think
Vineet is writing absolutely me.
Okay,
It's very relatable, yeah.
fair enough. Sorry, Vineet, I cannot see your comment, but because my screen is...
And Sumit is writing after this session, not anymore.
Okay, let's go. So, friends, most of us are living the way we are living with all our imperfections and beauty that lies within us. And this, discomfort carries on. We read books, we, listen to music and try to find some solution to this ever nagging thing within us. And I thought, okay, let me give one analogy, and this is the closest I could get. So imagine a person who is neck deep in a slur, okay? And it's a stinking slur to make things worse for us, okay? Now, what happens? This person rather, is caught in that slur, and he cannot bear the stink anymore. He's fed up of this. Some of like us have become accustomed, so we don't feel that discomforted by that, but most of us do, who are sensitive enough. Now, that person tries to figure out like how to get out of this stink and the fill around me. It's not a good situation, and what can I do? So, and it's all around. So many people advise him that see, this is the world, and you have to live the way others are living, because he is given so many examples, and almost everybody is in the slum, neck deep or waist deep. So he somehow adjusts. Okay, then come some friends who advise him, why don't you read some book about getting out of this? So you can name these books our scriptures. Okay. Then some other friends say that, why don't you try this? Why don't you wash yourself? So the person washes himself to the extent he can, and then feels temporarily that he feels little cleaner, but the rest of the part, which is still submerged, and there is stink around, so it doesn't help much for long. Okay. So temporarily he finds that I'm little relieved. Then comes one advice. What is this? Anybody?
Perfume.
kind of thing.
Yeah. So somebody advises that perfume is the thing which can help you beat the stink around, and it will make you much more comfortable in the situation. This is one of the solutions. Try it, test it. Okay. Then comes another advice. So can somebody help me uh, figure out like how is this going to help?
Just putting on the nose and don't smell anything.
Yes. So you put it on your nose and there's no smell. Then comes another one who says, "Hey boss, affirmations we need. Like keep on chanting that I want to get out of this slur. I want to get out of this slur. I want to get out of this slur, and one day you'll be out of the slur." Okay. So all positivity and affirmations, and one day you'll be out of the slur, and hope for the best. Then comes another advice. Somebody advises that, why don't you hold on to this rope and somebody can pull you out, and then you try any of these methods, they'll work perfectly. Then you can clean yourself, bathe, put perfume, and help yourself. So friends, what is the primary thing that person has to do before he tries any other thing but rope?
Is to find solution himself, come out of that place.
Yeah. So the first thing that person has to do is come out of the slum. So some of us who are fortunate, they are, inspired to latch onto these ropes, or they are thrown out by some circumstances. Strange enough, to figure out, but many a times we are thrown out by, by grace. And then we realize, oh, things are much better here. And whatever I am trying, even bathing and putting perfume and whatnot, is helping me now. Even the book is helping me, because I'm feeling much more comfortable in the new situation now. So the first thing is to, clean yourself. And before that, you have to get out of that place, which is not very comfortable for many of us, because we become used to that, and I don't know, many of you will not maybe agree with me, but inertia is another sign of ego. You like the status quo. You like that conditioned atmosphere, whatever is around you. you feel that this is okay. It is so your ego is your comfort zone also. It doesn't allow you to move beyond that and challenge it in some sort. So that's why most of us live very limited lives, because we don't challenge our ego enough. So we'll see in the coming slides, there's more to us than what meets the eye. So friends, I would like you to take a small exercise. Can somebody give me some sense of time? Okay, let's see. We have good 30 minutes, you can say. 25. So I would like to give you an exercise. You need not write the blemishes, as I mentioned, that they are there on my Facebook page. But you can see which of these are more prominent in your case. So just mark those as I'm reading them out, because there are quite a few. So friends, here's the formula. We may not be able to see our ego, but we can definitely see our actions, our behavior, and how we are feeling within, and hence can observe where they are coming from. So can we all do this much?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So here are the common blemishes of Nafs. Can somebody help me read? It's just to ensure that you are not sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I read? Yeah. Annie?
Shivani.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So the first is to show off. Then it is to be arrogant, to be envious, to be miserly, to be vengeful, to be faithless, to be proud of one's spiritual state, to distort religion and tradition, to deny the givers of gifts, God, or to belittle the gifts, to be dissatisfied and complain about one's state, to cease to have hope in Allah's mercy, to be sure of Allah's punishment, to condone tyranny and help tyrants, to speak against decent people, to keep the heart attached to this world.
So friends, keep on writing the ones that you very strongly relate to, and then we can discuss if you feel like discussing those pointers. Okay, so I'm moving. Yeah, somebody else can try now.
Okay, I'll read.
Yeah.
To keep wanting to be a leader, to fear criticism, not to be able to prevent oneself from wanting, instead of wishing to learn the truth, being an imitator, to fawn over people for personal benefits, to be a coward, to be angry, not to keep one's word, to think unjustly about people, to be ambitious, to lead an irresponsible life, and to mix oneself in affairs that do not concern one.
Okay, so I'm moving, and somebody else can try now.
Sumit?
Yeah, to be undignified, not to keep the time of one's devotion due to laziness, to be shameless, to gossip, to be stubborn, to be an egoist, to be a hypocrite, to cheat, to be British, to be lustful, not to accept one's error, to be afraid of poverty, not to believe in destiny, to take care, pleasure in belittling others.
Okay, there's one more slide, and somebody else can try.
to be indiscriminately happy, to be disdainful of poor, to boast and be proud of one's past, to show off one's physical prowess, to belittle others, to like to talk long unnecessarily, to be self-centered in conversation, to forget one's own shortcomings and be preoccupied with the shortcomings of others, in distress, to make excuses and fall back on and encourage nafs, to pretend to be friends with one's enemy, to cheat in one's work, to set traps for others, to take pleasures in people's suffering.
So, friends, so I'm stopping sharing right now, and we can discuss. Anybody who noted one of these attributes and relate to them very, very strongly, can we uh, can we discuss any of those points if you feel like?
Yes.
So that may be learning for others also. Yeah.
So I don't know exactly. As you said that you strongly relate to that, I do not strongly relate. But sometimes I feel like, yes, maybe I have to check myself. I have to go deep within and understand whether it is happening with me or not. Because I used to check my ego whether anything I'm doing from my egoist place or not. So I related to with one thing, which is to be proud of one's spirituality. I also discussed with my friends also that what it is called. Shalu, can you
Spiritual bypassing, that we call it, like
no, the second word.
superiority.
Spiritual superiority. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you.
So, Vineet, among Sufis, there is a term called, I've just translated that in the list. It is called ujub. Ujub mean to be proud of your spiritual attainments. So, ego is a very, very fine thing, and it is finer than what we can imagine. Okay. Once a student asked a Sufi, his master rather, that how can I see ego? How can I see nafs? He said, my child, it's not that easy. It is like watching a black ant crawl upon a black granite in a pitch dark night. So this is how ego moves among us. It's not that black and white that we can clearly spot, okay, here you are, and I have spotted you. It is a very, very difficult thing. And as you grow spiritually, it gets finer and finer. There is a Sufi proverb which says, Alim ka nafs alim, Jahil ka nafs jahil, Fakir ka nafs fakir. This means a saint's ego is as fine as the saint's attainments also. So it's not that coarse anymore. So it gets finer and finer as you grow spiritually also. So it will beat you in your own game because it grows along with you.
It's making me afraid more.
Yes. So why I'm saying that, friends, it is a very, very tricky space. Okay, let me give you one analogy. Sufis say that we have two selves, just for the sake of explanation. One is higher self, the other is lower self. So they say whenever you are operating from heart, or you can say soul center, you are operating from your higher self. And if the moment you are operating from your fear center or your ego center, that is your lower self that you are operating from. So somebody asked a master that how many types of people are there? There are billions and billions of people on earth. So what are the different types of people? He said, my child, there are just two types of people. One who listen to their ego, and the other whose ego listens to them. So either you are a slave of an ego or master. There is no third situation. It is that clear. So either you're operating from your fear or from your love center, you can call it, or soul center. And your calls can clearly give you an idea where all these actions, these emotions, these reactions are coming from. So it is fun to observe yourself. And that is why most of the people say, especially those who are into experiential, spirituality, not intellectual space only, they say that nothing can beat you reading yourself. Like Baba Bulle Shah says, it's a popular quote. Anybody can, help me with that. Pad pad ilm hazar kitaban, kade apne aap nu padhya hi nahi. So he's trying to say that you may read so many books, but no book is Vineet. No book on this earth can give Vineet's answers. Even if it is a scripture, Vineet has to reflect upon it, ponder over it, and find his message within that. Am I making sense, friends?
Yes.
Yeah, very
Yes.
much.
Yes.
So, all that beauty lies in us. But until or unless, so this was one analogy that is higher self and lower self. And then there is another view which says, no, there is no two self, there is no ego. It is your ruh, the soul, which, some of dirt over these conditionings have accumulated upon it. So it's like a mirror on which dirt has accumulated. So you have to just clean it. So there's no second center. There is one thing only, but you have, spoiled it and you have to wipe it clean. So all that tazkiya nafs, you can call it. Tazkiya mean to clean. So all this cleansing is about that only. So you can employ any modality you want, but unless or until we do something about this, you will be 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward in that journey. Because, and it will never be a permanent growth of any sort. Because you are trying to, to clean yourself while you are within that slur. So momentarily you may feel better, but in long run, it doesn't help much until you take your own ego head on. So it's quite a battle to win, by the way. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And for most of us, if you see, even the spiritual quest at times comes from ego only. Shivani, could you please mute yourself? Yeah. So most of the spiritual quest comes from ego at times. And as you move up, do you think that when the ego is in that discomfort zone, because later it has to be decimated, it has to be tamed, will it like it? No. So there will be repulsions from the very move that was encouraging you to move further, because with ego you cannot move further on spiritual path. And if you ask me, it is not that big deal also, but we with our own blocks make it a big deal. Like Rumi says somewhere very beautifully, he says you don't have to find love, but you have to see the blocks that you have created against it. So these blocks are nothing but your ego veils, which are blocking that, that shine, that light that is within you. Okay? Can we look at some of the comments? People are writing something.
I also have a question, Hasnain. Can I ask?
Okay, just a moment. Let me complete the presentation and then we will devote
Okay,
10
then.
Yeah, Shalu, you want to say something?
Yes, we can take questions in the end. First. Yeah.
Let me just complete it, because then we will have a context. So I'm sharing again. Can you all see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here are some more add-ons that I have added to that list. Can somebody read this? I've just tried to simplify it further.
Okay. Finds it difficult to forgive, loves action, rigid, slave of body, poor sense of balance, weak, love extremes, lacks insight, take things literally, hates acceptance, doesn't trust, impatient, can't see truth, ritualistic, favors sensual pleasures, seeks attention, validation, settles for fake, never satisfied with itself.
Thank you. So these are some more, characteristics I could, enumerate and put together. And the list can go on because it is actually your imperfect self that you are thinking that is the most perfect option you have. So it's actually your blunt self, which is not your best. So friends, this is the formula. It's as simple as this. Can somebody read this for me?
Yeah. Starve the ego, fed the soul.
Yeah. So this is where the magic lies. So if you are starving your ego, actually you are feeding the soul. So it is inversely proportional. Ego and your soul are actually inversely proportional to each other. So if one increases, the other decreases. So those who are like starving the soul, they are feeding their ego. It can be both ways. So we have to see who we are feeding. So friends, let me just, for the sake of giving you information rather, that Sufis have enumerated and listed the benchmarks you cover as you move in this self-purification journey. And this is one quote by Prophet Muhammad himself, peace be upon him. And he said, Man arfa nafsuhu faqad arfa rabbuhu. One who knows the nafs knows the Lord. So it is that bare truth, that knowing God and knowing your nafs is one and the same thing. And we can find thousands of quotes in our scriptures also, in Vedas and Ashtavakra Samhita, wherever you name it, and we have all this wisdom all around us. So death is not the word that I would use, but this is from other source. We say that the ego is tamed. It's like a horse who is tamed, and you are riding now. The horse is obeying your command. So ego never dies, according to Sufis. They say that it will die with you only, but it can be decimated, it can be tamed, it can be made your slave, that instead of you obeying the ego obeys you. The death of ego will be the beginning of your real life. Ego is just like dust in the eyes. Without clearing the dust, you can't see anything clearly. So clear the ego and see the world. In the war of ego, the loser always wins, because you are winning while you are fighting. And it continues till you are existing. People often confuse ego with self-respect. These two are very, very different things. And we can, have a long chat sometime later on this. So, friends, this is how Sufis, see the self-purification journey. It starts with Nafs al-Ammara, which is animal self. Then comes Nafs al-Lawwama, mean reproaching self. When you start realizing that there is something wrong with me, something need to be fixed, and you repent for your imperfect self. So Lawwama mean reproaching, wailing, crying, lamenting. Then comes Nafs al-Mulhama, that's another stage. Then Nafs al-Mutmainna, when you feel a little satisfied with yourself. Most of the painters, creatives are on this level. Then comes Nafs al-Razia, again, Razi mean accepting only. Then Nafs al-Mardiya is the second last one. And then the last is Nafs al-Kamila, mean the complete self. So according to Sufis, you don't become God or Bhagwan or some supernatural thing. All you become is complete human being. So Kamil mean complete. So this is, some characteristics, but we don't have much time to read all these, but you can just see how it moves up. So most of the perfection, you can say, if you see Nafse Kamila, let me read that at least for you. Its traits are freedom from duality. So this is the Advat situation. Acceptance of Allah's will, the God's will. Joy of union. Freedom from expectations and contentment. So these are the stations that that you go through as you move up, and your guru some way supervises you and validates your station and gives you some tips because he has himself traveled that. So friends, let me conclude the presentation with this. Can somebody read this?
Yeah, I will read it out.
Please.
The you. Truth, the you versus the ego. True self, false self. We, me. Unity, separation. Understanding, blame. Friendliness, hostility. Forgiveness, resentment. Love, pride. Gratefulness, complaint. Oh, happiness, jealousy. Happiness, anger. Humble, power. Spiritualism, materialism. Peace, war.
So, friends, is it making sense to you all, whatever we have discussed so far?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And I would like to conclude with a very, very radical remark. And that is, most of us think that we are to chase love. How many of you think that we have to do something to find the love the saints talk about? And what do you do to find that love?
Just be at rest. Don't do anything. It will come to you.
Don't do anything. Very good, Vineet. Yeah. Anybody else?
I think it will come to us if it is destinated, and if universe has decided key this and this person will get this and this thing, so it will automatically come to you. You don't have to do anything. You just
Great.
have to be very patient.
Great, Priya. Anybody else?
Same.
Anish.
Yes, sir, same.
Oh, great.
You then
Yes.
I feel love is within us.
Yeah.
We are love.
Yeah, you are
And
loved.
when we recognize that love within us, that the worldly love that one is looking for will automatically resonate and will be there.
Yeah, yeah. So true. Bharti ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगी?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just be yourself and drop the ego and love is there all around.
Yeah. So somebody asked our saint, the saints talk about so much of love and all that. What is ishq? He said, ishq wahi hai जो कसब से हासिल नहीं होता है. So this love is one thing that is not acquired. This is your primordial nature. So you have to see where you have lost it, how you lose it on day-to-day basis. What are you doing that is depriving you from this alignment, from this state? So I call it love state. I don't call it love, because saints were very clear about this love. It is not. One more thing I would like to say here: ego is such a selfish thing. It is not even selfish. It is self-destructive. Okay, being selfish is nice because you are doing some good to yourself. But if you are destroying yourself, you are damaging your own case, then you are your own enemy. So that's why I call it enemy within, or most of the saints have called it that thing only. Why? Because it's within you and spoils your case. And you keep on defending and pampering it further. So it spoils your case even further because you are empowering it. So all you have to do is do something about this. And rest is, as Shivani mentioned, we are love. This is your primordial nature. It is not an acquired thing. You don't have to bring something in. You are love. But if you are in fear, you can never love. And another thing that was not part of the list, let me add that, and that may help you as a pointer. If you are not giving somebody attention, then you are asking for attention. If you are not able to give love to somebody, that means you are seeking love. And ego seeks love. जब कोई मुझे मिलता है और कहता है कि मोहब्बत खत्म हो गई है, तो मैं उससे पहली चीज ये पूछता हूँ, क्या आप कर रहे हैं? तो पता चलता है कि वो एक्चुअली उस मोहब्बत के बारे में बात कर रहा है जो उसका भला करे. He is seeking love. He is not in a position to give love. So look at ego. It is so self-centric that it talks about these nice things also, but actually it is looking for its own pampering in some way. Are we making are we on the same page, friends, till now?
Yes, it's quite an eye-opener.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So these are all little tricks of ego, and maybe inshallah in coming days and months things become like normal, and we can meet at a place where we can go for exercises and other things, and a lot will unravel there, how we are like duping and fooling ourselves in the name of spirituality and meditative techniques and all. Friends, nothing will work. It is all ego's tamasha that keeps us busy with anything. Okay, let me give you an example. What is a ritual? Anybody, friend?
A set of practices.
It's a
Okay.
practice over a long period of time.
Okay. Fair enough. But like you go to your office, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it a ritual or is it work?
I think it's a work.
How do you know it is work and not a ritual?
We have associated
Because I have
sacred.
performed certain things.
Your salary is the guarantee that what you are doing is not a ritual. Isn't it? Anish,
Yes, sir. We don't get salary, we get remuneration.
pardon?
We get remuneration, not
Yes.
salary.
So this is the proof. This is the proof that you are getting some reward for your act, right?
Yeah.
What if I take a house next to your house and follow the same metro route to your office, go up to that building and come back every day, will I be getting that remuneration?
No.
Then what am I doing?
Just the ritual.
Ritual.
So now, can you see the difference between a ritual and work?
Yes.
Yeah.
So most
Yes.
of the things that you are doing were somebody's work. And to the best of your intentions, they could be your ritual only until they are your work. Now you understand the difference between a ritual and a work.
Yes.
So anything like I see people, like selling or even giving lessons and meditative techniques as if they are the multivitamin pills. Good for everybody, goes with everything, no harm. But they are antibiotics also, and they do harm. And another hallmark of ego, being ritualistic. That's why I put the word ritualistic there in the last slide. Ego cannot figure out the depth of things because it is not coming from within you. You are copying somebody, thinking that if something works for the other person, may work for me. This is how we become ritualistic and not realistic to ourselves, true to ourselves and our needs, our requirements. So spirituality, my friend, is something that is prescribed. It's not over-the-counter pill that one size fits all. It works for everybody. No. Somebody has to see you. Somebody has to diagnose you. Look at your pulse. Study your case. Then prescribe. And it is not at all copying somebody, for heaven's sake. I may copy some, say, a bodybuilder's ritual. But if I am an asthma patient, I may collapse on treadmill, forget becoming an Arnold. Because before I go to that gym and benefit from that treadmill and those weights and whatnot, I have to go to a hospital and be normal. So most of us who are seeking spirituality actually should seek normality before fiddling with those, very sensitive, very powerful exercises. So that's my two bit on most of the things. That's why I don't encourage much of emotional charges and rituals and meditation techniques. I know quite a few. I have worked upon them, but it requires a certain preparation, certain groundwork has to be done before they can be beneficial in the real sense. And I think if we can do something about our own ego and introspect and reflect, I think half the job is done thereon. We may not be going to those finer things. Another hallmark of ego is ego wants to learn the third lesson before completing the first one. It is impatient. It finds that doing anything basic is too primary. I'm much more evolved. So the ego wants to is not very happy with kindergarten. It straight away wants to go to one university. So this is another area where you have to be very, very careful, because most of the meditative techniques, if you just recollect, are techniques of the highly evolved people. So are we that much evolved? A kindergarten kid cannot make sense of a master's syllabus book, though he can figure out, okay, this is M, this is N. Oh, I can find one O, but where is the orange? You know, so you can make sense of those books, but they are not your book as yet. So one has to be very, very careful, because ego is ambitious. Even spiritual ambition is ambition enough. It will, force you to take up similar shortcuts, if not same, to, to see and find that, oh, I have faltered somewhere, and maybe this is the wrong path that I'm taking. Because all of us are very, very unique. So first starting point should be that we should be internalizing. Take a break and be with yourself. Look at yourself and do some introspection on what is not serving you, what throws you out of balance. Because all that beauty is within us. All you have to do is work on your own negativities that are not serving you. And then you will get that aha thing. Okay, I have located you. This is something that was like keeping me slave to my own tendencies. And ego favors sensuality a lot. So most of the music and other things are sensual in nature also. Don't think that all of them are spiritual only. Before they become spiritually beneficial, they are sensually making sense to you. So most of us get caught in that trap also, that emotionalism, you can call it. So friends, these were some small pointers that I wanted to share with you. I hope that they may be helpful, or they must be making sense to you in some way. And we can spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes to take questions now. I'm done with the session.
Thank you, Hasnain. It was a lovely session.
Thank you, Shivani. You're welcome.
I just wanted to ask, in one of the ego list, I read where I could connect myself with that was, I keep wanting to be a leader.
Yeah.
So is it always that it is actually ego based? Say, for example, when I see you right now and you talk about Sufism, you are a leader of Sufism. So similarly, how can we define that it is not coming from ego, but it is probably coming from the soul?
Okay. See, it is a topic of bit debate, you can say, because we get into semantics and language. But if I can give you one differentiator is you wanting to be leader and people take you as a leader are two different situations. So if you want to be leader, it is a desire, and that is not a healthy thing. But if you feel that, okay, this is a group, and the group feels that you are the best of the lot, you become leader automatically.
Got it. Very clear. Yes.
Yeah. They will make
sometimes we are studying also towards it. It might be a desire, and we feel that yes, we can do something about it, and we are working towards it, and we are studying. So does that also come from ego base?
That you have to see where it is coming from.
Okay.
I said that all of us are like different cases, and our wants are very limited. Take on our life. By the way, okay, let me give you a quote that I read sometime back by a very modern Sufi. His name is Idris Shah, and I've read a lot of Sufi stories from his collections. And he says, "Do what you want to do, and you may never do what you can do." So I'm repeating, do what you want to do, and you may never do what you can do or what you are capable of doing.
Yes. Very clear.
Yeah, at times our bonds also are not, I mean, not our best situations, you can say, or desire. We may be much more than what we are wanting to be.
Yeah. I agree. Yes. Got my answer. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Shivani.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah, Meenakshi, please.
Sort of an observation as well and a reflection. So it is somewhere coming from my personal experience as well as somewhere my professional experience. So, like you mentioned, the stages of nerves, and you know, I don't know if we have to have to pass through each of those stages and then reach the final one. But I feel like when a child is born and somewhere when in the initial ages of our life we are experiencing violence or we face neglect somewhere, a lot of people, like for me, even in my childhood I used to read spiritual books, and somewhere whatever I was experiencing, sort of distress or anything, that used to be my window to actually feel ki okay, this is not the problem, but I can be that, or I can still be empathetic, for example, expecting a child to be empathetic towards the adult, or fulfilling the adult's need and neglecting their own. So somewhere when you mention, favoring sensual pleasures, or focusing on the body, like I also mentioned, what does nafs mean to me? I think it's body consciousness. But eventually, especially I think from past couple of years, I have realized that accepting the sensual pleasure, that it is also a part of my life, but then acting beyond that place of misery, not also not being impatient to go to that final stage where all these worldly things don't matter to you. So if you act from this self-awareness, okay, this is also part of me, or for example, the animalistic nature that you mentioned, that is the first stage. That is also somewhere, because I'm a human being, because I have a body, I reside in a society. This is also a part of me, perhaps, but I am beyond this. Like, this is only one part, and this is not everything. But when that one particular part which we are born with, or which needs more attention at that initial stage, I think when that is neglected, eventually we try to go to different stages because we become impatient, or to find love or to realize love. But unless we go through that process, passing through all those stages with awareness and consciousness, I think otherwise it doesn't work. So I don't know if I'm making sense, but yeah, that's
making perfect sense, Meenakshi. And while you were talking, I was also using my own great cells to make the best of this question, and so that others can also benefit. Okay. Let me make it very clear, because most of you must not be exposed to Sufi spirituality, or to that transformative Sufi spirituality, if that's a better word. Sufism is a very beautiful modality which starts from material to spiritual approach. So if at all there is God, there is higher consciousness, who the heck is going to experience all that if not your own body? So they, first of all, prepare the body. So spiritual books, I can read about the seventh stage and maybe struggling at the first stage. So Sufis don't, and this is actually greed. Spiritual greed is also a greed. This is another hallmark of ego, which wants to learn the third lesson before completing the first one. Okay, so what happens if we start from preparing your body. So from material to spiritual is the journey. So you prepare yourself for spiritual experiences. So this was the 7 stages. They come from a different school of thought, but there is another school of thought among Sufis, who says there are just three stages to your, spiritual quest. And one is tahliya, mean when you empty yourself from negative attributes or ego attributes. Then comes tahliya, which means you become pure like dew. Okay? Then comes tajalliya. Tajalli mean when you experience God and higher consciousness, then you connect to that higher consciousness. So these are just three levels and nothing else. So these are three stages basically. But you have to be very, very present to your to your material self and material needs. And it is not about striving against yourself. It is just preparing yourself. And there is not much of a tussle involved there. Yes, I agree, and I second it, because that's how I have, uh, uh, taken my own spiritual plunge, you can say, or I have seen people working on themselves. I have worked on biography of my guru, and it's coming from certain personal experience also that I have had with him. Yes, you have to take out time for your isolation, for your introspection, and you can call it, and like for your solitude basically, where you can actually go inside and see yourself, do vipassana, do whatever. I mean, there are so many techniques available, but you have to introspect. There is no replacement to that, because most of us, if you ask me, are very frazzled and very fragmented when it comes to our consciousness is concerned. We are living on the run, and we are too like fast paced to feel that fulfillment, to get to that ease. So I think we need to slow down a bit to gain those spiritual uh, attributes in our lives. So I think slowing down does help. And Meenakshi, it was a very beautiful question, because most of us think that we can read about spirituality, but nothing is working. So maybe you are not working on your material self. So be present to your material needs, your physical, sensual needs, and you outgrow them. You don't curb them,
Yeah.
because if you curb them, they'll backfire.
Thank you so much, for that elaborative answer. Thank you.
Welcome, Meenakshi. Anybody else? If people want to hang around, I'm enjoying it.
I think Sumit had a question, and I also wanted to ask the question. So, Sumit, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so the question was more about one of the nuts as well. It's a long list. First of all, thank you for the session. I see I have a lot of work to do now. A lot. 3 slides. One of them was about taking pride in your spiritual growth or the path you have taken. It sounds like that if I'm sharing with people and walking around with the high nose, but when I look inside me, I want to take a little bit of pride because I'm rather new to it, and I'm learning about identifying who I am. For example, I'm impatient. I've always been doing sports. I'm into sports a lot, and I always get injured, but I still want to push it. That's one of my things, and now I've learned it, or let's say identified it. So I'm kind of finally working on it, and it goes beyond sports as well. So is it okay to take a bit of pride in it within yourself, not showing it around, but be happy that okay, I started from somewhere like 5 years back. I was nowhere on this path, and now I'm making some progress. And this sense of pride also kind of pushes me to do more of it, because I also see some results. And
Okay, Sumit, let me treat you people with one song that I had listed, but I was like little cautious that I might have taken more time from you people than allotted. So, Sumit, my answer will be relish it, because you should be enjoying every bit of it. That is the joy, and there's no need to be proud or comparative. Go comparative on that, because whenever there is a pride, there is comparison that I'm doing better than my peers. So you are complete by yourself. So you are competing with yourself, if at all there is any competition. You are competing with your, like, okay, once a student goes to a teacher and asks that, what is the relation between you and me? He said, it's very simple, beta. You are what I was. I am what you could be. It's as simple as that. So I am the possibility. The guru is a possibility. The student can explore, and after that the guru can divert that person to the next guru who can take him further. We are very clear about it. So it is the kind of beauty that you have within you. So good that you asked this question, and I was reminded of this beautiful song. And what I have noticed that it doesn't work if I play it, so I'm putting it in the chat box, and you people can play it. And it is, I think, 7-8 minutes. It's a song by a bhajan by sung by, I think, Mukhtar Ali. He's a Bikaner singer. He sings Kabir a lot.
Yeah.
And so it is about you, because I have already shown you our ugly side. So it's my duty to show you our beauty also. So this is about you facing your own beauty and enjoying every bit of it. So you can play this, and we can come back after 8 minutes. I'll wait for you people to say goodbye. Can you see the link?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can see the link. Yeah.
Please click this and enjoy it.
देखो अपने आप को, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया। लिखा गया कि देखा अपने आप को, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया। अपने आप से मतलब नहीं है, लेकिन अंदर की जो बात है उसके लिए कहा गया। कभी नहीं कहा देखो अपने आप को, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया। ना छेड़ो यार मुझे, ना छेड़ो यारो मुझे, मैं खुद मस्ती में अपने आप को। मेरा रूप कैसा है, मैं कैसा सुंदर हूँ, उसके बारे में लिखा है। लाखों सूरज चंद्रमा कुर्बान है मेरे हुस्न पर। लाखों सूरज चंद्रमा कुर्बान है मेरी मेरी खुदी है उससे बाहर हो गया हूँ, क्योंकि मैंने उससे इश्क कर लिया है, प्रेम कर लिया है, प्यार कर लिया है। अब खुदी से बाहर है हम, इश्क का अपनी पहन कर, सब रंग में चोला रंगा, सब रंग में चोला रंगा, सब रंग में चोला रंगा, दीदार अपना पाया, देखा अपने आप को, देखा आपको, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया, देखा अपने अब दीदा कोई नहीं दुनिया में ही मेरे सिवा, अब मुझे कोई नहीं दिखता है कि दुनिया में ही मेरे सिवा। इतना सुंदर बनाया गया है, उसने मेरे को कितना सुंदर बनाया है। तो मैंने खुद को देखा, अंदर जब झांक के देखा तो मेरे को ऐसे लगा जो लिखा, अब दिखता कोई नहीं दुनिया में ही मेरे सिवा, और दूरी का पर्दा हटा, दूरी का पर्दा हटा, सारा भरम पिला गया, देखा अपने आपको, देखा अपने आपको, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया, देखा अपने आपको, देखा अपने आपको, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया, देखा अपने असल राम अब खुद बखुद है महबूब मुझ से ना जुदा, मेरा महबूब मेरे अंदर है, मेरा ईश्वर मेरे अंदर है, मेरे से जुदा नहीं है, मैं उसी का रूप हूँ। अचल राम अब खुद बखुद है महबूब मुझ से ना जुदा, निज नूर निज नूर भरपूर हो, निज नूर भरपूर हो, अपने में आप समा गया, देखा अपने आपको, मेरा दिल दीवाना हो गया, नाचे लो यारो मुझे, नाचे लो यारो मुझे, मैं खुद मस्ती
Thank you.
It was like, wow, what an experience. Wow.
So, Sumit, I think this answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, I gotta be on repeat in the evening. So thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
So
Anybody has any question? Um,
I have one last question. So I don't know if it's already planned, but can you share the slides? I need the list of Nafs. It's a long one. I couldn't take notes.
so I can, but I've told you that it is there on my FB page. It's very well listed and designed. New Age Sufis FB page. You can go and you'll find all of them. And I can share this also. There's no, nothing to hide here. And this is taken from Jirahi Order Group. It's a Sufi group in America. So I have taken their permission. So I can give you their link also. It's I think it's there in the slide also I had. So I can give you this link. Always.
I was just thinking, like, how can we just start this work? There is so much of, so much of work that we need to do. Like, how can we start, understanding our own, our own conditionings and the concepts that we have taken as truth, and our own, prejudices and our definition of good and bad. And basically, why do we behave the way we behave, and what comprises our own ego? I think this will be the best of all readings that we can do. And yeah, so it was kind of a revelation, or I can, if I can talk about me, it is a revelation for me.
So Shalu, I had dropped this idea earlier also when we were discussing our next session and all. I have a complete foundation camp, spiritual foundation camp prepared already. I have delivered it twice. So I'll be starting that coming month sometime. It will be a 5-day thing because essentially like it will be online now. So otherwise it's a 2-day camp that I used to conduct on ground. So any of you who feels like can join because there are more layers to it. We have to start with this. Nafs is one of the important components, but it is one of the components.
Yeah.
But a lot has to be understood before we can make sense of what is going on around us, like how to see truth, what is love that saints talk about, like before who am I think the answer we should have is who are humans, what is our potential. As a special case you may be unique, but what are humans capable of in general? So I think we need to have clarity on those things, and then definitely this is a very indispensable part of that workshop. And there are exercises, and there are something happens, which is group energy, you can call it, and we learn from each other's mistakes, each other's learnings also. So like these 2-3 questions were not questions of individuals. I think they are questions of almost everybody.
Yes.
So this is how you get those borrowed benefits also from the group. So I think we need to invest our time a bit in that before we embark on spiritual quest. So there's a process to it, basically, if you can ask. And I think we should start right. Direction is very, very important.
Yes.
So most of the rituals and techniques that I see being sold in market, sold is the right word, are actually not even after looking at your case. We just go out and buy, maybe we are not even ready to benefit from them. These are very third level rituals, and we may be struggling at the first level. So first of all, before we pick up any ritual for that matter, even like people don't even read books before without consulting it with some seniors. Should I read this book or not? Because no book can slap you. That's why people avoid confronting or facing real gurus, and they prefer reading books, because you can read any book and it's not going to rub your ego the wrong way, and you can keep on meditating without even knowing that whether this meditation is taking you anywhere or not.